YouTube, what's up? Back again for another daily fishing video here on Andrew Upshaw Fishing. Been away for a few days. I've been really busy, guys. I apologize in advance. I've shot a bunch of TV shows. I spent a lot of time with my family. I'm getting ready for a 2-month trip, basically, fishing 4 different Bassmaster Opens, and I'm going to be all over the country. The good thing is I'm going to be bringing y'all a lot of really unique videos. Today's topic of discussion, I think, is actually kind of relevant. It's been on my mind a lot lately. You know, if you look back in the history of bass fishing, especially early on, there were some anglers that really stood out to you. You know, they were really consistent, they were really good, but they were really good at like one thing. And I'm not saying they weren't versatile anglers, and I'm not saying they weren't pretty good at other techniques, but when it came to these 1 or 2 techniques, they were the best, and they knew they were the best, and they capitalized on those particular bites basically anywhere and everywhere they went. A few of those anglers, I'll mention them by name. Tommy Biffle, when he first got on the scene, he was the hardcore flipper. I mean, like, everybody knew if Tommy Biffle weighed in a bag, he caught him flipping. That was it. Like, that's what he did. I mean, he might throw a spinnerbait some, he might crank some, but day in and day out, he was a flipper. Now, honestly, Tommy's game kind of adjusted and changed over time as the introduction of the Biffle bug, bottom bugging, that kind of stuff, and that became kind of his thing. So actually he had a two technique approach, because he would have the bottom bugging using like the swing head, the swivel heads, and then he had flipping. Well, but you look at guys like Denny Brower. Denny Brower was the guy, and still is the guy when it comes to putting a big stick in your hand, and that's just what he did. Look at David Fritz. He's kind of what they consider the king of crankbait fishing. Can you compete now being really good at one thing? Or do you have to be extremely versatile and just kind of, you know, fly by the seat of your pants, have a bunch of rods rigged, and be willing to adapt in every situation? You know, I find myself kind of on both spectrums sometimes. Sometimes I get locked into one thing, and that's just what I do, and I live and die by it, and it kicks my butt sometimes. And then there's sometimes that I have 40 rods on my deck, and I'm casting every which way with every bait and using live scope and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. But I really am curious as to if it is doable these days. Now, the one thing that, you know, those guys that were really good at, you know, 1 or 2 things, and I want to say, like, they were the best, like the best in their day at those particular, like Paul Light's another one, deep water structure, cranker, you know, like that was what he was good at. They all knew that if a tournament lined up with them doing what they're the best at, they would have a very legit chance of winning, because they knew that they could put that particular rod in their hand and they could keep it in their hand all day long and they could win. Chris McCall's another good one. He's a fantastic rattle trap fisherman. You look at Rayburn, some results. Like, I know that I've seen it a few times. I fished against him a bunch. You know, there's tournaments where, you know, they talk about the deep bite and they talk about this. That guy's going to put a rattle trap in his hand and he's going to go fish the grass and he's going to catch their butt. I mean, he's going to catch them. And he's one of the best to have ever done it. So you look at guys, you know, that are super, super good at one thing, but you see, you know, when they catch them. That's how they catch them. But now you look at today's day. You know, what's going on today. You look at guys like Jacob Wheeler that I fished with him. I've been lucky enough to fish with him a bunch. We fished some tournaments together. He's the kind of guy that he does not get locked into one thing ever. Like, ever. It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. And I think, personally, the day and age of just being fantastic at one technique is over. With the amount of electronics that we have, with the introduction of so many techniques and so many different things to catch them, just being really good at one thing isn't going to cut it anymore. You have to, and if you're a young angler, especially if you're a young angler, learn this. You have to learn how to fish everything. You don't have to be the best at everything, but you got to learn how to fish everything. You got to be just as proficient with a spinning rod in your hand with a drop shot as you are with a flipping stick in your hand, flipping bushes, or a deep crankbait in your hand, or a football jig. or flipping hydrilla, whatever it is, you need to have done it at some point in your life. So what I would implore you to do, no matter what your conditions are on your lake, and that's, I actually kind of go back to one particular situation for me back in the day. I wanted to learn how to skip docks, and I wanted to learn how to finesse fish docks, basically. Well, I grew up on Toledo Bend. I'm not saying you can't catch fish on docks, but it's really hard to catch fish on docks most of the year. I mean, like, you can during the spawn, you can during the fall, and I actually learned when to actually fish docks because I spent so much time trying to learn how to fish them. But you can really force yourself into learning the techniques. It's not always about getting the bites. I know that sounds kind of silly, but just having the understanding of how your bait works, how everything works, will go way further than what you think. You can force yourself to learn techniques by taking everything out of your boat and putting that one thing in there for maybe a week or two and learning how the bait works. And no matter if you get a bite, but you will eventually start getting bites depending on when you do that, when you learn those particular techniques. If you want to go learn how to fish a frog, go fish a frog. See how it walks. Learn how to skip it. Fish it around cover, fish it around grass, the bank, whatever it may be. It will make you a better angler. But being that guy that's just going out there and saying, this is what I'm going to do, this is how I'm going to catch them no matter what the conditions, is not where you need to be anymore. I promise you guys. Like, if you can become excellent at one thing, fantastic. But it's just not the way to be successful. I mean, look at Angler of the Years. We'll just look, for instance, at Clark Wintelet, the one last year. Super versatile angler. Like, he is willing to pick up anything, everything at any given time. Scott Canterbury the year before that, and Seth Fighter this year on the Bassmaster Elite Series, another insanely consistent angler, and really changes up what he throws. Now, does he flip a jiggy a lot? Absolutely he does, and I feel like he's probably one of the best on flipping some of that outside stuff. But that guy's just as good with a spinning rod in his hand. The Johnston brothers, they come from up north, extremely versatile anglers. You're starting to see a weird transition in professional angling right now, in most tournaments for that instance. The more versatile you can be on the water, the more successful. The day and age of guys giving each other a hard time for throwing a ball and chain, a Carolina rig, or owning a spinning rod, hey, if you don't want to throw a spinning rod, more power to you. I'm going to keep cashing checks throwing a spinning rod no matter where I go, because I'm willing to adjust, I'm willing to adapt to every fishing situation. Now, can you over-adapt? Absolutely, and that's for another video for another day. But the deal is, the more versatile that you can be as an angler, the more successful you will be. I promise you, if you just instill that into your mindset, if you focus on that, and you continue to try new things, and try to adapt every time you're on the water, you will be successful. Guys, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. If you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, make sure you do so. Comment below, what do you think? Or you think that I'm just absolutely wrong? And you can say that, say it below, say, hey, you know what, you're nuts. You can still be great at one thing and still win. More power to you. Give me the reasons why. I'd love to hear what it is. But if you agree with me, comment below and like this video. I really do appreciate it, guys. And I'll see you on the next video.